Hello, I'm Antonio Mora. This is the newsandnews.com day in brief on Friday, February 8th at about 6:30 p.m. Once again, a public hearing on Capitol Hill has put on full display what ails our political system. Acting Attorney General Matt Whitaker testified he has not interfered in any way with Special Counsel Mueller's investigation, has never discussed the Mueller probe with President Trump or other White House officials, and that he was right not to recuse himself from overseeing the investigation, all the while refusing to say it wasn't a witch hunt. That's pretty much the sum total of what we learned over 6 hours. The hearing was combative, full of theatrics, and both sides embarrassed themselves, disrespecting the other. Chairman Nadler accused Whitaker of putting private interest ahead of the Justice Department's integrity when he didn't recuse himself. Whitaker, on the other hand, was arrogant and almost Trumpian in his attitude towards Democrats, telling Nadler at one point that the chairman's 5 minutes were up. And Congressman Hakeem Jeffries was especially harsh in questioning Whitaker's credentials to head the DOJ, shutting him down when he tried to defend himself. A second woman has come forth and accused Virginia Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax of sexual assault. In a written statement, she describes a premeditated and aggressive assault 19 years ago when they were students at Duke. She says she shared the account at the time with various people. Fairfax forcefully denied the new allegation. Democrats in Virginia are stuck between a rock and a hard place. They'd already called for the resignation of the governor over his racial scandal, but they're stopping short of demanding the same for the lieutenant governor in the sexual assault cases or the attorney general for his use of blackface. If they all were to resign, a Republican would become governor, so the stakes are high and principles, well, suddenly seem to matter less. But the Virginia GOP faces its own scandal after the revelation that the state Senate Majority Leader Tommy Norment was a lead editor of VMI's 1968 yearbook, which contained racially offensive language and pictures. Federal prosecutors are reportedly reviewing the National Enquirer's handling of Jeff Bezos' extramarital affair for potential criminal activity and to see if it violated a cooperation deal reached in connection with the Michael Cohen case. When the Amazon and Washington Post owner launched a private investigation of the tabloid, letters seemed to show the Enquirer told him to drop it or face the release of other embarrassing pictures, including a nude selfie. The tabloid says it will investigate the claims, but that it acted lawfully. This is more than your usual blackmail or celebrity scandal because President Trump has been at war with Bezos and because David Pecker, the head of the company that owns the Enquirer, is a longtime Trump ally who has protected his old friend. For your amusement, the New York Post outdid itself with its cover headline, Bezos exposes Pecker. The rhetoric has been dialed down on both border security and another government shutdown. Some of the Democrats on the negotiating committee have said it would be unrealistic to reach a deal without some funding for border barriers. And White House officials have reportedly expressed cautious optimism. Trump's negotiating position has weakened because Republican leaders generally oppose both another shutdown and a declaration of a national emergency in order to build a wall. Trump has ordered flags at half-staff to honor the longest-serving member of Congress. John Dingell of Michigan died at age 92. He served as a congressman under 11 presidents, from Eisenhower to Obama. His death was announced by his wife, Debbie, who succeeded him in Congress. John Dingell succeeded his father in 1955 and made enormous contributions to American society during his 60 years representing southeastern Michigan. Despite bipartisan criticism, the U.S. military is reportedly following its commander-in-chief's order to withdraw troops from Syria. The Pentagon is preparing to pull out all U.S. forces by the end of April, even though there is no plan yet on how to protect Kurdish allies. U.S.-backed forces are expected to take what territory is left under ISIS rule by next week, but the withdrawal could leave Kurds vulnerable to attack from Turkey and the Syrian government. The U.S. is reportedly in direct contact with members of Venezuela's military, encouraging them to stop supporting the country's dictator, Nicolás Maduro. Food and medicine for starving and sick Venezuelans are stuck in trucks at the Colombian border because Maduro refuses to allow the tons of aid into the country. Meanwhile, the U.S. is pressuring the EU to finally expand its sanctions on Maduro's cronies, hoping to sow division in the regime. The U.S. may also put pressure on Cuba. The head of the U.S. military's Southern Command told senators Cuban security forces are ensuring Maduro's protection and security while deeply entrenched in the Venezuelan intelligence service. Secretary of State Pompeo has said, quote, "No regime has done more to sustain the nightmarish condition of the Venezuelan people than the regime in Havana." If anyone needed a warning about the threat cyber warfare poses to Western nations, a hack of the Australian Parliament's computer network should be a wake-up call. The hack comes just months before a federal election there. The hack is described as sophisticated and likely the work of a foreign government. Chief Justice John Roberts joined the Supreme Court's liberal minority to block a Louisiana law that imposes restrictions on abortion. Critics argued the law would impose an undue burden by leaving only one abortion provider in the state. The courts could still uphold the law after further review. Albert Finney, one of the greatest British actors of the post-war period, has died. A stage actor who transitioned to film, he was nominated for 5 Academy Awards. He starred in a long list of classics and Hollywood hits, including Erin Brockovich, the Bourne films, Annie, and Skyfall. He passed on the leading role in Lawrence of Arabia, frightened of the stardom that later came anyway. Finney was 82. In our daily alternate universe segment, the great divide between conservative and liberal media was almost hilariously predictable this morning, and it held true from newspapers to television. If the news organization leaned left, it generally avoided the Green New Deal like the plague. If it leaned right, the Green proposal was front and center, ridiculed as loony and a socialist manifesto. We have all those stories and much more updated around the clock 7 days a week on newsandnews.com, where you'll find all you need to know in one place. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel by clicking on the right of your screen just below this video. Please follow us on Twitter follow me on Twitter at AMoraTV and us on Facebook at Real News and News. Have a great weekend. I will see you again on Monday.